All right, all right. I get it. You've probably got a million other things to do, a million other things going on, like school, work, friends, or maybe you're on break, which at the time of recording this, you most likely are. And yet, you're stuck in your room studying for the digital SAT, which at this point probably does not feel great, and it probably seems pretty daunting. But thankfully, okay, you're a self starter, and I, Jordan from VC Prep, I'm so glad that you're here, okay? Because I am going to help you destroy the math portion on your next dSAT and can promise that you will gain considerable clarity on how to tackle the dSAT math, okay? In this first video, it's going to consist of my number one tip for improving your score on dSAT, but be cautioned, okay? Because there's not some magical remedy. This is something you have to practice. You have to practice in order to reap its considerable benefits. All right, remember, there is no substitution for time, effort, and dedication. And as a general note, I will try to keep my videos as short as possible while still containing the relevant information. BC and I are not here to waste your time. And yeah, we will aim to be succinct and to the point, and be sure to stay tuned for some more videos. Anyways, let's get right into it. So, okay, the number one tip I can give you, and of course you have to practice this, is this, okay? I would like you to try, when taking your tests, especially the math portion, as that's what's pertinent to this video, is to be as objective as possible, okay? And what I mean by that, what I mean by being as objective as possible is you need to be sort of an objective observer while taking the test, okay? You are just answering questions. Okay, you are just answering questions. There is no big test, no big thing, no large amount of pressure, okay? It's just you and some questions on your screen, all right? Because getting too emotionally involved with the questions, which I know seems pretty silly, but trust me, it happens all the time. It used to happen to me a bunch, and it still does to an extent. But getting emotionally involved to such a level where it interferes will consistently lead you astray, okay? Especially on tougher problems where you need a clear head to think, right? So yeah, be objective as you can and just answer the questions, all right? They're just questions. They're just on the screen. They're just questions on the screen, and you are just trying to answer them, all right? You're not thinking of the test as a whole, okay? You're not going, oh, shoot, I have an entire other math section after this. Oh, no, I have the 5 hardest questions there. I'm so tired. Oh, no, I've been here since 7 a.m. No, all right? Oh, hey, just another question. Figure this out and just be positive. Okay, that's another thing. Along with the objectivity, you must be positive. Okay, and this actually leads into a very interesting psychological sort of study, which I'm going to outline here. But it's not something that just pertains to the digital SAT, right? It's sort of this thing that you see all in life, and it's omnipresent, if you would. Right. So essentially, it this I derived this from this book I read called The Inner Game of Tennis. And yes, I play tennis. Yes, I'm an athlete, but it's not just in tennis, like I said. All right. And this was fascinating, right? Because once you sort of understand this objectivity, then it unlocks a lot. So essentially, okay, the book outlines two selves or two parts of your inner consciousness, where self one, right? So self one and self two. Self one is the ego mind, right? The know-it-all, the judgy side of us, who always knows what and what not to do, but never actually does it. Okay, this is the, oh, I need to do this, but oh, I'm not actually going to do it. I just know I need to do it, right? And we all have it. Okay, you can deny it as much as you want, but you're lying. Right? And this is also the one that constantly beats us up for making small mistakes. So when people say, don't beat yourself up about it, then this is exactly what they're talking about, right? Contrastingly, self 2 is the body, okay? Self 2 is the thing that actually does, okay? It's relaxed. It doesn't really think too much. It's objective, okay? There's that word again. It's objective, and it goes with the flow in accordance to your prior preparation. And that last part is very important, right? Because it sort of outlines what we've talked about this whole time, is that you need to actually practice. You can't just go in there and be super relaxed and chill about it. You have to actually know what you're doing, but then fall back on sort of like a flow state. Okay? So all that to say it doesn't overthink. And that is sort of the big thing that Self 1 does, which is bad, is that it sort of overthinks and it's like, oh, no, I need to do this. Oh, you made a mistake. You're taking too long. None of that. Okay, we don't want any of that, right? And now, especially on the digital SAT, the math portions, you must be acquainted with this Self 2, okay? You must be objective. You must be, all this that I've been talking about for the past however long, because at the end of the day, it provides just incredible clarity and it'll help you a lot. All right, trust me. Okay, so I guess on a personal note, embracing total objectivity helped me immensely. All right, no longer did I get flustered upon seeing a tough question and proceed to lose considerable points on stupid errors. No longer with the dSAT did it mess with me. Okay, you're gonna have control over yourself, right? Especially because actually, I'm gonna say one thing first. Sorry, I'm jumping around here, but it is worth mentioning that the Self 2 and the flow state, okay, that's another common buzzword right now that people are romanticizing on social media, which is cool, right? But this Self 2 and flow state are somewhat synonymous, okay? This is essentially what you're trying to emulate on the actual test. Now, I think one little difference and why I like Self 2 better, that flow state seems to have this magical connotation like, oh man, I sort of know how to trigger it sometimes, but I just need to do all this preparation and all this and that. But where Self 2 is really nice is that you don't, okay? If you just become objective, which it's extremely simple to say, but you need to practice it, okay? It's not something you're just going to get. Okay, so you need to become objective through your practice, and you can't get too emotionally involved. Anyways, moving on, okay, sort of taking a little continuing from that detour, right? The application of Self 2 is especially useful during the math portions of the dSAT, right? As many, if not all, of the harder questions or just questions in general are just trying to trick you in one way or another. And that sounds pretty malicious, and it kind of is, but the point is that to somebody who's wrapped up in their Self 1, so to somebody who's wrapped up in their ego mind, right? Ego mind equals Self 1. They're going to be constantly beating themselves up over these small little setbacks or all these failing to see through the trick immediately and wasting time and all these little subtleties that the math section poses, okay? And these little tricks that the math plays on you, it will be their downfall, okay? They will not have the needed clarity to fully catch all the subtleties, all right? That is where Self 2 comes in, because mastering yourself through its application, through the application of objectivity, you're going to be able to catch most of, if not all of these traps. And of course, there's that little plus or minus margin of error, which is from practice. Okay? If you practice seeing the traps, you're more likely to see them on the real thing. Okay? So it's imperative, once again, that you become familiar with yourself too. All right? You have to practice this, okay? You can't just watch this video and then expect some results, because it's not going to happen, all right? So just try it on literally anything, okay? You can do a few problems from a practice test or a whole practice test, maybe even some homework, some old homework from this past year, or if you are in school right now, some current homework, especially if it's math. The more relevant it is to the dSAT math, then the better. But even if it's not, any relevant situation, being objective is probably going to help you out a lot, all right? Because by practicing objectivity and embracing yourself too, okay, you can approach the test with clarity and control, all right? Avoiding common pitfalls and increasing your overall score, okay? Once again, you want to embrace clarity, control, and sort of this flow state, this objectivity to boost your score, okay? Because with all of this, you're not going to be super stressed out anymore. You're not going to see all this, oh, I didn't get the question answered in time. You're not really going to see any of that. Of course, timing and all that is a whole different conversation, but the fact of the matter is you're not going to be overthinking. And when you're not overthinking, you can perform optimally. And while you're performing optimally, you fall back on your training and you don't have to leave anything up to chance, thus boosting your score. And honestly, just being a very nice quality of life thing to improve your test taking experience. I remember my first SAT, which was believe it was a 1510. It was, I felt super, super stressed. I just did not like it. It was like, oh my God, I'm so like, whoa, I need to answer this quicker. I need to go. And then I, didn't do horrible, but not as better as, it's not as good as I wanted to. And then my second SAT, when I really internalized the lessons I'm teaching you guys today, I got my 1550 and I'm like, okay, cool. 790 math, boom, bam, done, dusted. And yeah, that is why I think you should master this objectivity. And yeah, it's going to help you a lot, guys. Trust me, all right? I've been there, okay? And also, just quick aside note, it's not in the slides, but if you have any questions about this method or just anything in general about the digital SAT at all, it doesn't even have to be math. Just come to our Discord. It'll be, it's linked on the channel bio. So, yeah, thank you so much for your time. I've got a lot more in the works for you guys, so stay tuned and keep practicing. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.